All right, today we're at Fort Macon State Park, just outside of Morehead City, North Carolina. Let's go see what they got here. Here in the visitor center, they have a little piece that shows tideline treasures. You can find unexpected gifts from the ocean, including, in this little clamshell, a pearl.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so Fort Macon is surrounded on all sides by a salt marsh, dunes on the eastern side, and in front of that would be the beach with a maritime forest that runs along the length of it. Fort Macon is 424 acres. And it's situated at the end of the Bogue Banks. All right, you can see we're entering the fort, the inside part of the fort. The fort was built before the start of the Civil War. You can see the fort was constructed between 1826 to 1834. It was used between the Civil War, 1861 to 65, the Spanish-American War in 1898, and World War II. Served as a military prison for, it looks like, about 15 years. And it became a state park in North Carolina in 1936. So you can see the original construction. I'm sure most of it is original, other than like these little benches here. But one thing I find that's amazing is the fort closes at 5:30. So I would imagine the battles during the Civil War, you know, getting that arranged between both sides, getting that scheduling done.
Okay.
That would have been a challenge.
Okay.
All right, so with these cannons, you can see this track system they had, and there's a bunch of them all the way around here. I'm sure it would take several guys, but they could reposition these by moving them one way or the other, depending on where they needed the cannon to fire. Right now they have the wheels locked down, so you can't move it, but you can see here how it would work. You can see that here's the storeroom for just about everything they would keep here. You got rice, vinegar, salt, pickled onions. That would be something that would not be touched by me. I could be a pretty good manager for this, because...
Well, you have to make some gravy out of the flour.
Yeah.
And serve over the rice.
Yeah.
Add a little salt to it, and you'd be okay.
Yeah, I don't see any barrels of Skittles, so wouldn't have any issue for me. All right, so here's the mess hall. Would show what their daily ration was. Looks like you got 3/4 of a pound of pork or bacon, some bread, beans, coffee, some sugar. I'm sure it wouldn't have been nearly this organized and neat.
Look at those ovens, or what they would call, I guess, your stove. I would have loved to be able to cook on something like that.
Yeah. This probably would have been the smoking section where...
Well, there's a fire pit.
Yeah, I'm kidding about the smoking thing. FYI.
You can't go in that direction, but you can go through here.
I'm sure a lot of this would have been for storage, but I'm also thinking that, you know, because of this, they would have had a fire in here. So it could have been dorms. It could have been barracks. But, you know, today we're here in late December. It's in I think the 40s this morning, so it is kind of chilly. But you can imagine how cold it would be. You'd have a fire going there in each area to try to keep it as warm as possible. You have good ventilation. You have windows on both sides.
Ooh, it's gonna be scary in here in the dark.
And this is where the ghosts are. Oh.
It's locked, so I can't get out.
What is that?
Ooh, I don't know.
See, up there, that's where the, I don't know. That's where the bats are. The bats are hanging up there right now. All right, so we're still in one of these rounded off rooms. And we're wondering, because there's no sign that shows what it is, but there's an opening up here. I'm assuming that's for any smoke or ventilation, but we're wondering what that would be for. It's on the inside of the room, so if anybody has any ideas, please put it in the comments. And you can see how substantial this area is. It goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's like 7 more areas. And then there you see going outside, you see some cannonballs stacked with some steps going up to the top of the structure. All right, so here's the Fort bake oven. They would have cooked all the daily bread rations. So it's in one of the same size rooms as the rest of the structure, but you can see how massive this oven is. And one thing I'm interested in is it says the bread incident, the infamous bread incident. All right, during the Civil War in 1862, whenever the Confederate soldiers were here, one of the soldiers was assigned to bake bread. He had been a baker before the war, so they assumed he would be okay at it. Well, apparently he wasn't, and they deemed his bread inedible, and they worked to give the soldiers back the flour so they could do what they needed to with it, because his cooking was horrendous.
I would love to have an oven this size. And I think I would have been a pretty good baker back then. I could have baked some good bread.
Or some pizzas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of pizzas in there.
Pretty nice, huh? Welcome to my house.
Fort and later in barracks outside. 4 155mm guns were established in particular.
Okay, so from 1903 to 1924, Fort Macon was abandoned, but in 1924, Congress gave the fort to North Carolina and became the second state park, but it didn't officially open up as a state park until 1936. Okay, so here's the gunpowder room. You got a ducky head, it's locked. You think if I press that button, what might happen?
Hopefully it won't blow up.
No, it's just tells you about the fort, little information. Oh, I guess it don't work.
Perhaps the most
Oh,
important
there it
room
goes.
in any fort was the gunpowder magazine. This is the room where the gunpowder used for cannons and ammunition is stored. Fort Macon has 3 powder magazines located in the angles behind each of its 3 stairways.
All right, so the conditions here at Fort Macon were not pleasant at all. The soldiers shared these bunk beds. There was 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. They said they had to fight bed bugs. They were supposed to dismantle these beds once a week and wash them down to get rid of the bed bugs, but most of the time the bed bugs were back the next week. There was no shower facilities. You had to either go take a dip in the ocean to rinse off, or just go take a little splash. So could you imagine that the conditions here were pretty rough? Okay, so now we're in the commandant's quarters, and as you can tell, only one person has to sleep in that bed. He didn't have to share it with 3 other people. And then also look at the space that he would have had, and this writing table over here just to do his work at, you know. So he had it probably a little bit better than the soldiers did.
All right, this is one of the gunpowder magazines in the fort. It's a small room. Looks probably about 12-foot ceilings. You can see they have a lamp hung there to give it the appearance of what a kerosene lamp would have looked like back then. You can see these door hinges. The door would have sat on these to swing back and forth. They also have one of these antique TV mounts here. But you can kind of tell how tight living in these quarters and working in this area would have been. All right, this is a replica of a hotshot furnace built in 1836. The furnace would be used to heat up cannonballs. They would roll down this area here toward the other end, and at the other end there would be a furnace underneath to heat the cannonballs up to over 1,000 degrees. And then once they got to that temperature, they'd be taken out and brought to the cannon so they could be fired at the enemy ships. But this is whenever they didn't have the metal structure. This is whenever the boats were still wood, so the cannonball would go into the ship and start a fire. This was dismantled in 1867 because they stopped making the ships that way. I have to say, in walking through Fort Macon, there is so much history, so much information here. The way they have it separated from when the fort was built in 1836 up through now, they give you a lot of guides, a lot of presentations that have every little bit of information, intricate details about original store railings, magazine doors, those type of things. It's a very informative park, and it's free, so keep that in mind. But it's like there's so much to do here, and then plus once you get to the top of the structure, you get some tremendous views. All right, during the Civil War, I'm sure they weren't concerned about this, but look at those views out there. I'm sure during the Civil War you're scanning the horizon for any boats, anything like that coming in. They didn't have yachts like that one spinning around, but views up here are amazing, but it's surrounded by all this history.
Okay, so this cistern here was built in 1897. I'll drop a picture of it from 1920s, where none of this brush was here. Just that big tree that's right over there was the only thing that was here.
And then right over there is a covered area where they have a lot of information about the area. And just a short distance from the visitor center at the fort, to walk down to the beach. We're on the lookout. We've seen several right there, I think. We've seen several dolphins breaching right around this area. There you go, there's one. There's one right there. Oh wow, you just saw his tail come out. All right, so here's the map to Fort Macon State Park. We just came from this area. That's where the actual fort is. We walked along the beach here. But there's also, if you drive down the road on your way back out, there's a visitor center here where you can also access the beach. And you can walk out here to some amazing views. Look at that. And you know, they have all these sleeping apps where you can listen to the sounds of the ocean and put you to sleep. Well, if you come here, just take a video for about a minute. You can make your own
Time loop.
and just loop it indefinitely. And you got the sounds of the ocean through the night. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for Fort Macon State Park. If you're in eastern North Carolina, close to the Atlantic, this is a beautiful park to visit. It's amazing views around the whole area, and it's very informative. So if you like the video, please click the like button. If you'd like to subscribe and follow us on our adventures, please do so. If you have any comments or suggestions for us, let us know, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Till next time.
So today we're at Fort Macon. Get my belly out of the way.